What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Stochastic channel. Today, we're talking some college football DFS ahead of the Tuesday Week 13 slate, last edition of Maction. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. We're also brought to you by PrizePicks, and they have an offer for new users. When you make your first deposit, you can get a first match deposit bonus up to $100. They're also going to give you one free month of OddsShopper. We have all kinds of tools for sports betting, all the way down to the player prop level, which is going to help you directly with PrizePicks. Link in the video description below. You must be 21 or older to play. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, bringing you behind the glass. Here's the data usage tool. We're going to kick things off with Bowling Green taking on Western Michigan in the MAC. 1.5 point spread in favor of Bowling Green, 51.5 total, which is a lot better than our second game. So a lot of interest here overall. Pacing wise, Bowling Green is 122nd with a 45% pass rate. Western Michigan is 19th in pace with a 49.5% pass rate. Right away, Bowling Green signal caller is not that interesting to me. You have a timeshare between Connor Bazelak and Camden Orth. Bazelak's been handling about 75% of the passing, and Orth comes in on clear rushing situations. He has designed attempts of 9 and 7 in back-to-back games. Both of them are poor price-adjusted plays because of the split. I would rank these guys probably 5th and 6th in the quarterback rankings. I don't know. It's pretty low for both of them. The backfield's a lot more interesting. Terrion Stewart was called a game-time decision again for the third straight week. Has not played in 2 straight games, which has allowed Teron Keith to have absolutely monster roles. And this guy has unique usage at running back. He has 9 targets in back-to-back games. He leads the team in targets, and he's second on the team in receiving yards, only by a narrow margin. Then as far as carries go, he has counts of 9 and 14 in back-to-back games. This guy is pushing for 20 touches, but like 45% of the touches are coming via targets. So just an absolutely insane workload. We have not seen Jason Patterson or Payshawn Wimberly handle much work at all. If Terrion Stewart does return, which would be a surprise, I think we would see him handle most of the early down work and Teron Keith handle a lot of the work on passing situations, making them both a little overpriced. In the receiving game, you have, again, Teron Keith leads the team in targets, but recently Harold Fannin has played a monster role for this team. Just incredible efficiency for him, but he's now 6,100. I mean, the targets for him still trail Odu-Hilaire. Over the last 4 games, we have seen it balance a little bit. Harold Fannin at 5 targets per game, Odu-Hilaire at 4.5. So honestly, it's pretty close between these two. I think I'd still rather save the salary with Hilaire. You do have to make some concessions on this slate. And I'm not sure paying up for a Bowling Green receiver is where we want to really focus our attention. But it's hard to discount Fannin at this point. He's been really good. Not going to poke any other holes in him. Wide receivers 3 and 4 are going to be Austin Osborne and Abdul Fattah Ibrahim. Ibrahim has a much better route rate. He's above 95% most of the weeks. Just doesn't have a lot of targets. Did see 5 in the last game. So for a punt play, I think he's the preferred option for me over Osborne. But it's very close. And Osborne has done a better job earning targets despite not playing as much route-wise compared to Abdul Fattah Ibrahim. So close. I likely will end up mixing and matching them. Last thing, Finn Hogan missed their last game. If he's active, that would probably just siphon away some snaps from those two, Osborne and Ibrahim. Western Michigan, I think Hayden Wolf is the best quarterback play on this slate. Not because he's an electric play, just lack of alternatives, really. He's averaging nearly 200 yards per game. Some of that due to the weird quarterback rotation they used early in the year. So some games he didn't play a full allotment of snaps. But he has positive rushing yards, which is a surprise. Never really had that at Old Dominion. But this team throws a ton. Volume is going to be awesome for him. Bowling Green's defense is middling. They play decent defense. But, I mean, we have 2 quarterback situations with timeshares. The other one is Austin Smith. I mean, we just don't really have a lot of options here. So Wolf, he's the best of a group of quarterbacks that is lackluster, to be kind. In the backfield, Jalen Buckley is still leading about a 70-30 split over Zahir Abdus-Salam. Last week, they got crushed by Northern Illinois, so he only had 10 carries. But we can still look to him. 2 targets in the pass game. He's averaging 3 targets per game over the last 4. This game is a competitive spread right around a pick 'em. So, I mean, Buckley should be more involved. The 2 weeks prior, he had 25 and 24 carries. So you can see how game script clearly affected that role last game. Still think the workload for Buckley is very good here. He would be among the top. I think he's a top 2 running back play, honestly, price adjusted. Receiving game, I don't know what happened to Kenneth Womack, but he had target counts of 17, 8, 17. And then last week, he only had 4. His price has come down a little bit to 5,800. Honestly, I'm just going to buy low on him. Still averaging 11.5 targets per game over the last 4, 58 receiving yards. It's an air raid offense, so I have no issues getting him. The wide receivers 2 and 3 are Anthony Sambucci and Leroy Thomas. Leroy Thomas led the team with 9 targets last game, but still, Sambucci played way more than him. So I'm probably just going to mix and match these guys. They don't really use Malik Dodone anymore now that Sambucci's back from injury. The price between Leroy and Sambucci's close, but I still would rather get the locked-in routes of Sambucci. But I will likely mix and match these two guys. Efficiency has favored Leroy of late. Lastly, Austin Hens is the main tight end they use, but they will rotate Blake Bosma in. I don't think it's very clear between these two guys, and I would rather just get up to one of the cheaper receivers for the team. Next game, we have Eastern Michigan taking on Buffalo. It's a 5.5-point spread in favor of Buffalo. Eastern Michigan reaches a bowl with a victory here, interestingly. Total is 35.5 points, really slow. Eastern Michigan has a 92 ranked pace, 48.5% pass rate. Buffalo is 65th in pace with a 48% pass rate. That is plummeted of late, and we'll get to that side of things, but largely stems from the quarterback position. You've seen their pass rate like down below 40% in a lot of recent games. So we'll talk about it. On the Eastern side, Austin Smith is the only other quarterback with a locked-in role, likely to play 100% of snaps. So I think by default, he has to be QB2. See, the rushing yards didn't update for these guys, so I'll go on the back end and do that. But Austin Smith has a little mobility, not much, so it's kind of difficult to play him. As far as passing goes, this team is just a slow offense, relatively balanced, but still only averaging 105 passing yards per game. I'll rank him too because of the guaranteed snaps, but you don't feel good about it. In the backfield, it's a 50-50 committee between Samson Evans, Jalen Jackson. They ebb and flow on each individual game. I mean, the efficiency between these guys is basically identical. You have 133 opportunities for Evans, 132 for Jackson, rushing yards 506 for Evans, 500 for Jackson. Like, nothing separates these guys. I'd rather just play the cheaper guy in Jackson, even though Samson Evans had the good game last week. But I think it's very close. Saving the salary makes more sense to me than anything else with Buckley and some of the expensive plays we already talked about. Receiving game, another big target performance for Tanner New. He's just really struggling with the inefficient QB play. But, I mean, you can get 13 targets at 5,300. He's now averaging 8.3 targets per game over the last 4. Very easy to get to. They also don't rotate the receivers much. JB Mitchell and Hamza El-Zayat, they're on the field like every single play. Hamza El-Zayat has a 6.3 target average over the last 3. JB Mitchell at 4.8. I think they're both efficiently priced. A lot of constructions I could see going down and playing Mitchell just to save salary and then get up to some studs. To the Buffalo side, QB rotation, and I'm sure this is a very good tell for defenses, but on clear passing plays, Cole Snyder plays. On clear run options, CJ Ogbonna plays. CJ Ogbonna has 12 and 16 design carries over the last 2 games. He doesn't really throw the ball at all, but I mean, he's 5,700. I could honestly see using a little bit of him in the flex just because the rushing equity is pretty good. But yeah, I mean, this is another QB rotation, which is why I think you want to be getting mostly to Wolf and Smith. Pretty gross. Definitely not playing Snyder. In the backfield, they basically have fully benched Mike Washington and Jock Barksdale. I think some of this because they're just using Ogbonna as a wildcat QB. But Ron Cook has had a pretty good role. He's maintained it. 15.4 touches per game. Really inefficient on the ground. 51 yards per game there. And then as a receiver, he's not doing too much. He has 5 combined targets over the last 4 games. So you're not going to see them throw to the RB position a lot. Think he's the running back I would rank 3rd on this slate just because the clarity gives you a little bit of an edge over Evans and Jalen Jackson. Receiving game, they're now fully healthy for the most part, but Marilyn Johnson and Cole Harity have the 2 locked-in route rates for this team. Then Booby Curry and Darryl Harding split a little bit. Nick McMillan has returned. So I think you do have a lot of volatility beyond Maryland Johnson and Cole Harity. And I mean, it's pretty volatile to begin with. Mike Washington led the team with 3 targets last game. I'd rather get the cheaper guys like JB Mitchell and some of the other players we talked about, like Hilaire, on the teams that pass the ball more. I guess the last note here is Cameron Ball had a 75% route share at tight end. That's because Jake Orlando's been out. Didn't even get a target. He only has, let's see, he hasn't had a target in 4 straight games, but Cameron Ball plays a lot, so that's at least worth noting. But that'll do it for us for the 2-gamer. Thank you guys for watching. If you have a comment, please leave it below. And a question, you can reach out to me on Twitter at Matt_Gajewski. Otherwise, we'll be back talking the Egg Bowl on Thursday and then the 2 slates on Friday and Saturday. Until then, good luck, everyone. We'll see you next time.